Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and I am back with my second layout for a guest designer at the ScrapRoom. Today I'm going to be using Echo Park's Summer Break. For this one, I decided not to use a sketch. This is all my own design. I really wanted to incorporate that teal polka dot as well as that busy A-side paper, and I just had an idea in my brain that I needed to get out. So I started by cutting off the branding strip, and then I knew that I wanted to use 2 of the 3x4 cards, but the way that the 3x4 cards were set up, I had to make sure that I cut the paper correctly so that I could use the striped paper the way that I wanted to on the back. So I went ahead and cut out 3x4 cards on the side, so I had a full strip of that striped paper. My plan is to add 2 4x6s and 2 4x4 photos down at the bottom of the layout, and then I'm going to have this 4x6 card at the top. I'm actually going to cut it down to a 3x4 and have 2 additional 3x4 cards up there with that photo. I knew I wanted to have a white border around my layout, but I struggled with trying to figure out how much of a border I wanted. I messed around with this a lot, but I ultimately ended up with a 1/2 inch border around 3 sides, and the paper meets in the middle. Since I only had 3 sheets of paper, I knew I had to make sure that I was measuring not twice, but 3 times and 4 times just to make sure that I had it correctly. And spoiler alert, I still mess up. I cut that teal paper in half, but apparently didn't cut it in half, so I did have to trim down one of them. And then I went ahead and cut down that 4x6 photo to 3x4. And then I'm going to cut down these 2 3x4 cards that I'm going to use. One says, "We didn't know these moments were golden until they were memories." And then the other one says, "Summer is calling, I must go." I wanted to have a much larger stripe in the center of this layout. Usually I'm cutting my stripes down to 1/4 inch. This time I went ahead and used 1/2 inch. And then I wanted to make sure that I measured out this busy red pattern paper because I knew that I wanted to use the busier side as a majority of the piece at the top, but I also wanted to use the lightning bolts. So I measured multiple times, and this is where I probably should have cut it a little bit larger, but I do end up making it work. I decided to use the border strip on the red lightning bolt paper. Since that paper was going to be at the top, I wanted to make sure that the lightning bolts were going in the correct direction. I didn't want to have like upside down lightning bolts. So I used the border strip on the paper and then trimmed it down and repeated that process. I also knew that I had to cut down all of the strips of paper to have that 1/2 inch border around 3 sides. And of course I missed the stripe paper, so I did have to bring my trimmer back out and do that. This paper with all of the words on it is really busy, and I was trying to figure out a way to tone it down. So I pulled out this white paint, and I thought at first I would just paint the things that didn't go with my layout, like the roller skates. But that left a majority of the words and icons, and I didn't like the way that it looked. So ultimately what I end up doing is just adding the white paint to everything. And I took a paper towel and immediately wiped the white paint off. It gave it this distressed look. You can still see all of the words and icons coming through, but it toned it down a lot. For the skates, which actually only ended up being in like one area, I did paint that more than the others and didn't wipe it off as much. So the skates are like really muted. But the icons that I knew I wanted, like the word sunshine and the sun, the word summer and play all day, I went really light with the paint on those. So those really stand out. And I can tell you that I absolutely love the way that this looks. I did pull out my corner rounder and I rounded the edges of the teal paper, and ultimately I end up covering up the right side of it with my embellishments, so you only see it on the left, but that's okay. I did take a little bit to try to get this teal paper down just to make sure that it was straight and even on both sides of the layout. And I thought about having 1/4 inch at the top. I even measured it out. But then when I laid down this really busy paper, I realized that I was going to have the lightning bolt paper at the top, so I had to move it down. So I moved it down just a little bit more, and then realized that I didn't have enough space for that striped paper. I was going to have a big white gap between it. So I had to move down that really busy paper a lot more than I thought I was going to. I then added the lightning bolt paper on top of that really busy paper. And of course I struggled trying to get it down because I can't ever get anything down straight the first time. But I just didn't like the way that it looked. So I decided that I would go ahead and put the stripe paper down and take a look at it a little bit more. And the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like it. Then I decided to tuck the lightning bolt paper behind the really busy paper. It still felt off, but I wasn't sure what it was exactly. So I thought I would go ahead and get the left-hand side down and continue to think about how I could fix that top part. I just wasn't liking the transition between the lightning bolt and that really busy paper. Once I got the stripe paper down on the left-hand side of the layout and then added the lightning bolts down as well, I realized that I could probably use the stripe paper again in a much smaller format. So I went ahead and added a 1/4 inch strip of the striped paper. And of course, struggling so much with trying to get these 1/4 inch strips to be the same size. Even with lining them up, it just didn't work. So I tried again, and on the third time I was able to get 2 that matched, even though the 2 that matched weren't the 2 that I was trying to cut out. Ultimately, the 2 that matched was the first one that I cut and the third one that I cut. I don't know what it is, but I always struggle with cutting out these 1/4 inch strips. I added this roll of adhesive to the back of it. I like this roll. I picked it up from scrapbook.com. It's an 1/8 inch, I believe, and it's a perfect size for 1/4 inch strips. I had also rounded the corner on that really busy paper because I thought it was going to be at the top, and I did have to cover it up with that stripe paper. You can see it a little bit, but it's not too much that I'm going to worry about it. Now that I have the base of my layout done, I'm going to go ahead and add my photos. Like I said in my unboxing video, and I will link that below for you guys, these photos are not the greatest. This was on the first day of our camping trip. We had checked into our little cabin and we headed straight over to the lake area. There was nobody in the lake because it was right at sunset, so it was kind of the end of the day, and the boys just tossed the football around. I was sitting on the water's edge and just taking photos. I'm pretty far away and I'm zoomed in quite a bit, but I love the sky in these photos. I love the fact that the boys are playing in waist deep water. They were just having a good time. And even if the photos aren't the greatest, the memory behind this well makes up for the photos. But you get the understanding that even with crappy photos, the boys are having a great time, and it was just a sweet golden memory. Those 2 3x4 cards that I added to the top, the one that says Summer is Calling is the same color as the polka dotted paper. So I had to figure out a way to make sure that they didn't clash with each other. So I pulled out 2 additional 3x4 cards. I trimmed down the 2 3x4 cards that I wanted to use just so I could have a small border around the 3x4 card, and on that teal one I mounted it on the navy blue, and the gold one I mounted it on the red. And I love how it brings in additional colors, as well as making sure that that teal paper from the card and the teal paper from the polka dots don't touch each other. I did decide to put that 3x4 photo down flat, and then I used some fun foam on the back of the 3x4 cards. I do pick up my fun foam from Amazon, and I have it linked below if you'd like to check that out. I did have to add some additional adhesive to the layout, and then the fun embellishment starts. The ScrapRoom kit comes with a sampling of embellishments, and for this collection, the sampling includes 2 sticker sheets as well as brads. Your sticker sheet and brads may be completely different than mine, but the sticker sheet that I received had all of these fun words and icons that match that really busy pattern paper, and I also received an alpha sticker sheet. So I made a really tiny scene in the upper left-hand corner with the sun and the 2 clouds that I got, as well as adding the word beat the heat, because we live in Florida and the water is the best way to beat the heat in the summer. Down in the lower right-hand corner, I added the word sunshine, as well as the sticker that says get outside and play. I did put that sticker up on Fun Foam. From that same sticker sheet, I pulled out some stars and added them to each one of the clusters. I also wanted to use this tag that says play ball, and so I added it right below my clouds in the upper left-hand corner. Then I added 2 of the brads that I received. I got the ones that are like the jewel tones. So I added 1 of those to each of the cluster in the upper left and lower right. I then was trying to figure out how I can create a title. You can absolutely pull in from your collection. Maybe some thickers would work really well with this. Or you can make some dickers, some DIY thickers. I will link Nicole's video down below if you'd like to check out how to do that. I turned to the 3x4 cards. I hate fussy cutting. With collections like this, it allows me to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. I will tell you that the fussy cutting on this Play All Day is really crappy. It's not even, it looks a little jagged, but it kind of goes with the theme of play, so I just went with it. I also decided to pull from the 3x4 cards these 2 swimsuits as well as this camera. And so my title is going to be right above my photos, and I played around with it quite a bit trying to figure out what order I wanted them in. Even though there are only boys in this layout, I felt like I could get away with the girl bathing suit because it brought in the red and yellow from the 3x4 card that's going to be on the right hand side of the layout. And it just looked really cute right next to the word play. I did decide to put the Play All Day flat to the layout, and then I added each one of those little icons up on some Fun Foam or foam adhesive. I did make sure that the icons were touching the words. So the strings of the girls' 2-piece touches the word play. The camera is nestled in between the end of the word play and the word all. I do have a little bit of space with that word day, and I looked at it later and thought there was an awkward gap there, but I couldn't figure out what else to add to it, so I just left it. And then those little boy bathing suit shorts is the perfect ending for this title. Because I had gotten the alpha sheet, I wanted to add those as well. So I decided to make my title Vacation Means Play All Day. And I used some foam adhesive on the back of those tile stickers so that it gave it a little bit of dimension. I did use the 1mm foam adhesive strips from scrapbook.com on the tile stickers and the 2mm foam adhesive strips on the icons. So it does have lots of dimension with the word play all day flat to the layout, the word vacation and means just a little bit higher, and then the icons even higher than that. The embellishment kit does come with half of a pack of enamel dots, so I decided that I would add those around the layout to several of the clusters. These enamel dots were not sticking very well, so I did have to pull out my liquid adhesive to add to the backs of some of them. I've noticed that a lot lately, and I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the heat of the summer. It has been really hot here, and I can see how adhesive wouldn't want to stick to things. Make sure you go check out the ScrapRoom, where their goal is to help you get more pages done. The Flavor of the Month kit is designed with that goal in mind. Each month you will receive a box containing 4 individually packaged and unique page kits, giving you a sampling of the latest and greatest in scrapbooking products. Your monthly kit will contain enough paper and embellishment to complete at least 4 double page layouts or 8 single page layouts. Alright, that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I did do my journaling offline and I added it to the upper left-hand side of the layout. It says, "There was nothing fancy about this evening, just Malachi, Eli, and Sebastian tossing a football while the golden light stretched across the lake. They played until the sun slipped away, their laughter echoing over the quiet water. Camping slows everything down in the best way. No distractions, no rush. Just us and moments that felt ordinary until we realized how golden they really were." If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.